All right, let's do it live on a Tuesday edition of Cleveland Browns Daily. I am merely Bo. He is the great Gibby. How you living, buddy?
Oh, great.
Oh, baby.
Am I on?
You're on. You're on. You have a light.
I know I have a light, but
yeah, you're on. You're
for
good.
whatever reason, I can't hear it in my headphones.
Oh, no.
It's all right.
What did you do?
I don't know.
You're on now?
Sure, kind of. Maybe. There we go.
There you go. Yeah, it's,
it's touchy.
you get that.
Like everything in this studio. It's touchy.
You built it.
Well, shame on me.
Where did we do this when we redid this studio? Did we do it in the press room? Is that where we did the show for when this was going?
Yes.
We would do it down there. It was in the summer. We went down there.
Didn't one of us sit up like on the because we tried to stream it on the Mevo.
Yeah, we were on the dais at some point. We were right.
Yeah, you were at the podium.
That's what it was. The girl and I were up on the podium doing it up
My
the
God.
dais.
They should have sent us to the condo.
The craziest one is when I was still doing my morning show from here, and we had Laurinaitis was here, and we were doing like the total renovation.
Oh.
And there was all that. And he and I would do the show in this studio, and then we would run out to the like overseeing the practice fields to get air. To like go get some air. Because it was
that's right. There were like particles. It was not
crazy.
Great. Yeah.
Crazy. We're like, well, you got to do it. And his in-laws are up here, so we would do it. We took the time. We didn't do the show. We were like a week off. We didn't do the show during that time. And then we were at the undisclosed location.
We were.
Which was lovely.
It
Summer
was.
at Gibby. That was nice.
Kind of missed that.
Spotted cows.
By the way, the guy that's coming in studio today at 2 o'clock, the last time you and him had a one-on-one,
you're right,
was in that place.
You're exactly right. Yeah, when Bubba was in, it was that was his very first interview he did with any of us, wasn't it? Or was he just
No.
Had he been in with us before? I think Z hadn't met him yet. And I said you're going to love him.
That might have been the case. It was the Monday after Jim Brown passed.
It was.
Remember we were doing the Jim Brown show, and they were like, "What, do you still want Bubba?" I'm like, "Yeah, Bubba knew him."
Yeah, we know him. Yeah, I do remember that. Yeah, and then I remember Coach stopped by on his way out for summer. So yeah, I was thinking about that in regard to, obviously the Myles news is the predominant news of the day yesterday in the NFL, and was thinking that from the perspective of, the first shows I did here were his second year. And the idea, like that, you guys obviously been here for his entire career, but the first ones I did were his second career. It was Bake's rookie year, and it was his second year. And you think about all of that time. I mean, it feels like a blink, but all of those seasons that stack and all of the different permeations of Browns teams that have been you're building towards one thing, and then it kind of flips into building towards something else, and you try to get to where the two teams are on Sunday, which is the Super Bowl. And that's kind of the goal of all of these things, is to get to that point, because if you're not there, then what are you doing? That's it. So like, you think about how quick time passes, and certainly with this Myles stuff, and somebody said, well, Myles has been there 8 years, and you go, I guess so.
Yeah.
Doesn't feel like it.
I mean, is he 28?
29.
29?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's
8 years. I mean, it goes by in a hurry.
It does, and I think it's your if you're Myles, if you're someone who has put in that amount of time, your football mortality starts coming into play too. Like, organizationally, coaching, doing the job we do. Just think of all of the great friends of the program who have come by since we've been doing this. Like all the various people who have. Oh my God, what's he got? Change of clothes. It's ready.
We have a meeting today.
Well, he's got an extra shirt.
I can't sweat through it. Got to be cool,
Nick.
Calm, and collected. Yeah, Nick.
Yeah, that's right.
Aware.
He's got his. He's like Draper now. Swag is the extra shirt and pull it out of the drawer. Put on the clean shirt out of the drawer.
Oh, that's great.
That's perfect.
Absolutely.
That solves it well.
Have the extra one.
But yeah, there is a football mortality to this. You think of all of the folks who whether it be Cole, you think about Jarvis and all of the times. You think about Money Mitch, like all those guys, Kirko before that, all the guys that would come through and we would see them all the time. Obviously, since COVID, we've seen less and less of the guys than we used to see back in the old days. But even with a guy like Myles, who was just – is such a bedrock of what you want the franchise to be, and obviously steadfast in making sure that he stays here and getting back to that point will obviously be the goal of the franchise. Adam Schefter was on McAfee yesterday reiterating that the Browns wouldn't budge on their position to not trade Myles Garrett.
This is not a surprise to the Browns. The Browns knew about his unhappiness. I think they've asked around. They've prepared for it. They've gotten some opinions about how to best handle this situation, knowing that it could be coming. And I think that they are dug in and entrenched in their stance that they're not going to trade Myles Garrett.
Jeremy Fowler was on SportsCenter yesterday, and he heard from sources that Myles would also not budge away from his trade request.
I've been checking with sources close to this situation, and I'm told that Myles Garrett is not making any sort of contract ploy here, that his words are genuine. He simply wants to win and feels that he cannot do so in Cleveland. I even asked a source if the Browns are aggressive this offseason in improving the roster, could that change his mind? And I was told no.
It's early.
Here's what I said yesterday, and I feel as strong about it now as I did then when I said it. This has been a conversation very clearly that the front office and Myles have been having behind closed doors for probably since the end of the season. I don't know. Who knows? Only they would know if it's something that is talked about weekly, daily, who knows, or if it's something that's been said once or twice. We have no idea. Only they would know that. But what happened Monday, while not new information for the Browns and the front office, was the first public, now this went public. And so the next part of it going public is people like Schefter reporting from our perspective, the Browns' perspective, we're not budging, and people reporting from Myles' perspective, Jeremy Fowler, he's not budging either. Someone's going to budge.
Someone has to. Correct.
So either you're going to get back to Myles is going to be impressed with whatever happens this offseason, or there will be a second thought from the organization about what to do with him. I have no indication or belief that their organization will do anything other than hold firm on this. You know how much you want him to wear that jersey for this franchise for his entire career. And so my hunch is that getting back and mending fences is the way that things are going to go.
Yes, exactly. Get him back in the building. Let's have some more discussions. Like, what did you not like? You know, what did you want to hear? What did you not want to, what do you want to hear? What do you want us to say? Like, I'm not asking for you to determine everything, but what didn't you like that we offered?
I think that it's funny. I was having a conversation this morning with one of the PFF draft guys about the quarterback position, drafting number 2 overall.
Very nice.
And I said, I asked about Shedeur specifically. Because of the two, Shedeur seems more like the fit for what Kevin wants to do. He's incredibly accurate. He's incredibly bright in terms of making the right reads and throwing to the correct reads. He ran for his life a lot at Colorado because they didn't have a great offensive line
and
because
a few
they had no
bad
running
habits.
game. He did, but a lot of I think the bad
That's
habits.
correctable.
I don't think the bad habits are the bad habits that, like, for example, Quinn Ewers makes. I think the bad habits are trying to make more out of a play that isn't there because you know that you have to score a bunch of points because your defense isn't great and you don't have a run game. And so I think he would try to sometimes extend plays to create a shot or to create – a lot of times they were in third and long, and it was a way to try to create that. But like so the PFF guy, I asked him the question. Nice guy, good dude, Dalton Wasserman, and maybe we'll have him on here in the next month or so, whatever. But we had him on, and one of the things he said was he was talking about Shedeur, and he said, I don't think it would be a good fit for the Browns because I think they have too many needs. And I said, and I'm thinking to myself, well, that's the only one that matters is that need.
Correct.
And he went on to talked about how tough he was, how historically accurate he is, his ability to process, all of those things. I'm like, this sounds like everything we would want. And then in all of these mock drafts, I see him going 6th to the Raiders or 3rd to the Giants. If he's going 6th or 3rd, go 2nd.
Yeah.
Go 2nd.
Why is he good enough at
he's
3 or 6, but not at 2?
The Giants swoop in and steal. Well,
yeah.
Just take him. Who cares? NBC said something to me today when I dropped him off at school. I actually in complete agreement with him. He goes, Dad, well, who are the good quarterbacks in 2026? And I said, well, I don't know. We thought last year in 2024, the best quarterbacks in 2025 would be Quinn Ewers and Carson Beck. Carson Beck is with his girlfriend at the University of Miami coming off of right elbow surgery. And Quinn Ewers could be the 6th or 7th quarterback off the board.
Sure.
And he goes, well, then if we draft a quarterback at 2 and we're bad, just draft another one. And I'm like, nailed it. Like, just keep doing
The
it.
7th graders got it right.
Just keep doing it, baby. I used the example this morning of, look, you have a great deal of respect for the Pittsburgh Steelers and their excellence and Mike Tomlin never having a losing season. But do you know how many playoff wins they have since Ben Roethlisberger left? Less than us.
Yeah.
Okay? Without the quarterback, there's a hard ceiling on what you can be. And so you can fill all these other spots and try to have offensive line or defense. Oh, this is a great defensive line draft. Let's load up on D tackles and D ends. All right. But if you don't have the guy, there's a ceiling on what you can be. And so when you come back to this conversation about Myles, Gibby, that's what I keep coming back to. If Myles is displeased, he's displeased because he knows he's got to play Burrow and Lamar 4 times a season. And you got to go through them. And then you got to go through Josh. And then you got the wizard, Mahomes, at the end. And if you don't have somebody who can go toe-to-toe in those sword fights, what chance do you have?
You're not wrong. You're not wrong at all. I think that someone made the mistake yesterday of saying, if you're Myles, you got to be frustrated. You're always playing. You're always down 14-0. That's not the case. Defense was pretty good again this year. They had moments where they struggled, but the defense was still pretty good. But like you said, if you can't score, 20 points in a game, which we struggled to do this year, then you're putting your defense at an awful position.
Yeah.
Because the defense, Joe Burrow is going to get points.
Yes, he is.
Lamar Jackson's going to get points. Even the pukers can score points.
Right.
With Russell Wilson on a good day. I know the guy behind me might not agree with that, but that's neither here nor there.
Gee, man.
I know.
He had a hell of a statement that I can't share on the radio right before you get in here. It was an unbelievable statement.
Really?
About Sabrina Carpenter. It's incredible. Yeah. I won't say it. By the way, I have a feeling that what's the song she sings? The one that was the big hit?
Talk about please, please, please.
No.
Espresso?
That one.
Yeah.
Every ad that I hear, there's a supermarket ad, I want to say it's an Arby. Every ad I hear has that song sounds like to me now. My kid, one of the boys was playing on one of their nonsense months, and every time I hear another ad, I hear that song there. So, yeah. You have to beat those quarterbacks.
Yeah,
and if you don't have one, what do you have?
You're still going to – and most of those games, I mean, even the best defenses, it's going to be 27-24.
Yeah.
It's going to be 30-27. It could be 32-28. Like, you have to score points to win football games. Mm-hmm. And I think that's where Myles is coming from. I can take care of the defensive side. Who's taking care of the offensive side?
You don't even
on the football field.
Yeah, and you don't even need you don't need to have the number one defense in football.
No.
To win at the ultimate level. You need to be the type of defense that can make a couple of game-breaking plays when you need them, and Myles can do that. So that's really what the job is.
What's the Chiefs' defense ranked? Do we have any idea? G-Man, can you look that up?
I feel like it's 6.
They're pretty good. They're solid.
Yeah. Okay, but you don't have to be number 1. You can be a top 10. You could probably even be a top 15 and be all right.
Yes.
I think the Eagles might be a little higher. I could be wrong on that, but
as of January 31st, they were ranked 9th, so they were in the top 10 in total defense.
The Chiefs?
Kansas City. Yes.
Okay. Thanks, Kev.
Yeah, 9th in total defense, 4th in scoring defense.
Yeah. Like that's you're not the top 5. Okay, great. Good news. We have Patrick Mahomes. We can make up for any deficiency if the defense has a bad day.
Yeah.
The Browns can't say that right now.
No, they can't.
Good news. It's February. We have 12 weeks to the draft. We have free agency before that. Like we have time to put it all together. Yeah. And that's why I'm like, we can react the way we want to about the Myles Garrett situation. Myles Garrett's a Cleveland Brown. He's under contract for the next 2 years. whatever's going to happen between now and when the team reports in August or late July, because it's not about the off-season workouts.
No.
I think we can assume. I don't know if he would be here or not. Maybe he will be. I mean, you got to be at mandatory minicamp in June. That's the one thing that's mandatory.
I think it's one of those things you just need time and you need no one. You go 3-14, and this is bound to happen. You know, I mean, you came off of a great season, and then you go 3. You are what your record says you are. There's no hiding it. Yeah. Like, it is what it is.
And he's putting up great numbers.
Yeah,
and he's going, I'm winning 3 games. I got to.
Yeah, it's tough.
We got to get, but I would also say you're 13 months removed from 11 wins in a playoff trip. I know that seems far, and we have a lot to do to get back to that, but
that was also, that was obviously. What the heck is he doing?
You're making him sneeze.
What is he doing? He's raising the roof over there. That Flacco season was the most fun any of us have had. And It was really a month. It's really just December. That season kind of had everything in it. But that month was pure joy. There was also no chance you were winning the Super Bowl.
Correct.
Like, we go into that postseason saying, got to be fun to win a round. But you weren't going anywhere beyond that. So that's the spot that you've got to figure out. You know how important it is for this ownership and for this front office to get back to winning quickly, because they've won more than any other group has won around here since Bernie and those guys left. I mean, it's been a long time since we've had this type of even sustained success, and that's acknowledging coming off of a 3-14. But you want to get back to being in the mix. You want to be back to being in the postseason, challenging for the division, beating your division rivals, the type of things that Kevin has done for a while of his time here. Has not won a division, obviously, but knocked on the door of it. But to get there is one step. To get beyond that is the step that you want to take. Because otherwise, you are a team, whether it's Tampa Bay or Seattle or Pittsburgh, and all of those things seem really fun right now because we just went 3-14. So you'd have loved to have had a season where you got to host a playoff game. You would have loved to have a season when you won the division. But none of those teams are close to winning Super Bowls.
Nope.
None of them. They all have hard ceilings on them in terms of what they're capable of because of their quarterback play. There isn't a level that they can get to that can get there. So that's the thing that you got to get back to. You got to find that guy. And we've been in search of it really probably since Bernie left. You've been searching for the one quarterback who is the true franchise quarterback. Whether you think about all the chances that we've had at it, you talk about in terms of picking high, we've only had 2. You had Couch number 1 overall, Baker number 2 overall. Everything else was, are any of the rest of them even picked in the top?
Brady.
But he was in top 10.
No. But Brady was a first rounder.
I'm saying,
Paul Football was a first rounder.
I'm talking about pick of the draft. You get the first or second quarterback in the draft. It's only been Bake and Couch. All the rest of them were in the teens. You're trying to make it work. It wasn't a situation where you went up to number 1 or number 2 and drafted your quarterback. It's this one and it's Bake. And now here we are again at number 2 overall. Yeah. So, and I have no idea who knows? I mean, we don't know what they think about these quarterbacks. We don't know what we think about this class. The one thing that the more conversation I keep having about this with more and more people is, if you actually listen to what people say about Shedeur Sanders, it's pretty good.
I haven't heard anything bad. The only bad thing is who his dad is.
But why is that bad?
I'm like, I don't know why that's bad.
It seemed to me like you made him work for everything. I mean, the kid played at Jackson State.
Yeah.
We went to Jackson State and balled out. And then he went to Colorado, and they rebuilt the whole program. That was the worst Power 5 job in America when Deion took that job. And they struggled in year 1 after a nice start. And then last year they won 9 games. He flipped it really quickly.
Yeah.
So I don't even understand the negative of that. His dad's on the all-NFL team. Like, we talk about that going to the Hall of Fame, that one room that's resigned for the first ballot guys. He's the corner. So there's proof there in that. I don't know. I just don't see the negatives. This morning they were like, well, he doesn't have the size of Josh Allen, that prototype. Like, who does? Who does? Jaden Daniels doesn't.
And by the way, the year Josh Allen was drafted, none of us were really interested in Josh Allen.
Yeah, you'd know that better than me in terms of
I can assure you, we weren't. He was I mean, obviously Baker was at the top.
Yeah.
Unbeknownst to us until
right before, right?
18 hours before the draft or draft morning, I think. Who else?
Was that the
Allen.
Rosen, Darnold, Allen?
Yep.
All those guys
Yeah.
were in that draft?
Yeah. Lamar.
Lamar.
I mean, but Allen was big. He had a cannon, but was he? I think he's scared. We all were scared from a media standpoint. Was he Brandon Weeden? Brandon Weeden was big and tall. He was older, but Brandon Weeden had trouble hitting the broadside of a barn from 5 feet away.
Yeah. Well, the talk around Allen was, could you teach accuracy?
Which he's one of the few that has ever been able to change that.
Yeah, and I think the other thing that he benefited a lot from was largely the same coach, the same all the way through. Like they have organizational stability that they built around it. But I remember talking to Vic at the combine after his rookie year, and there was major concern with just his unwillingness to protect the ball the way that they wanted. Like he was very willing to put it in harm's way. He had that crazy play in the playoff game. Actually, I think against Deshaun. Was that Buffalo and Houston where he had a crazy turnover? I think it could have been.
I was thinking Buffalo, Jacksonville, but I could be wrong. Yeah, I remember after the rookie year, we're like, wow, he was better than we thought. And Vic's like, I don't know if he is.
Yeah,
he's got some growing up to do.
Absolutely. They were worried about the concern was always the turnovers with him. So that would have been his second year or his first year. All right. No, it was not Houston. Oh, no. It was his second year. It was against Deshaun. They won a playoff. The Texans beat them. Deshaun was with Houston. The Texans beat them in the wild card round, 22-19 in overtime.
Houston went on to play Kansas City. Was that the high-scoring affair, and Houston blew it?
31-51.
Yeah, because Houston was up big early on in that game, and then blew it.
Yeah, Houston rallied from down 16-0 in the third quarter to win the game against Buffalo in that game. And I'm pretty sure there was a turnover that Allen had late in that game.
Yeah, the first 2 years he wasn't what he is now.
No, but he got there.
Yeah,
he got there, and they have stability, and now he's very likely going to win MVP of the league. So that's the kind of thing that you got to have. And if you just look around, you think about, they had Super Bowl Media Day yesterday, and I know they're having some more stuff down there today. But you think of those two teams and the way that they are built. Philly consistently builds all of the pieces. They build it from the line of scrimmage up, and they've done that for a long time with Howie Roseman. But they've also relentlessly pursued quarterback. They traded up with us to get Carson Wentz.
Correct.
They have tried to find the answer at that position first and foremost. They would give contracts to guys who shined in brief moments at other places. All of those things were true. And now you're at a spot where they land on Hurts, who I don't know that anybody thought he would be what he was. Even them. I don't even know if Roseman thought he would be what he was. And I remember when they came here for practice, they're like, well, this all just comes down to Jalen. Can he be accurate? And he has been.
Well, and do you recall, Carson Wentz was the man.
He was the man. He was going to win the MVP before he got hurt the year they won the Super Bowl.
And then they draft Hurts in the second round. Everybody's like, wait a minute. We have a quarterback.
Yeah.
Maybe you didn't have a quarterback.
Keep taking him.
Yeah.
Got to get it sorted out. So that's kind of where we stand. And this is going to probably die down for a while now, and then it'll spike up again at the Combine, and we'll be dealing with it a little bit there. In other trade news, Cooper Kupp has officially been made available for trade by the Rams per his social media. Per him. The quote was, I was informed that the team will be seeking a trade immediately and will be working with me and my family to find the right place to continue competing for championships. I don't agree with the decision and always believed it was a begin and end in L.A. Still, if there's one thing that I have learned over these years, there are so many things that are out of your control, but it's how you respond to these things that you will look back on and remember. Here's the deal. He hasn't been healthy.
Yeah. Since he won the Triple Crown.
Let's see how G-Man does the guess the stats. Do you know how many seasons over 1,000-yard receiving Cooper Kupp has in his career?
I want to say it's 3.
It's just 2.
It's 2, okay.
Yeah, you're in the vicinity, though.
The
year
he won
2.
the Triple Crown.
He had 1,900, and then there's 2 years before that he had 1,200. But health has been – he's 31, and health has been the issue.
8 years? I think he was 8 years. He was a Senior Bowl guy.
Could have been.
He was a Senior Bowl guy when Hugh Jackson and the Brown staff were coaching him.
Was he Eastern Washington?
Yep. Eastern Washington, and then the Rams had him, Robert Woods, and Goff.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, but his career took off when Stafford got there.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think he had
he's 31.
He's 68 catches this year.
Yeah, he's just under
so.
right around 9. It was right around 800 yards, I want to say, this year.
Yeah, something like that.
And
Nakua is their number one. And right now the Rams are on the hook for the next 2 seasons of $30 million and $25 million, something like that. But if they release it, but it's only like $5 million guaranteed money this year.
Yeah,
and there's no guarantees next year, so it makes the contract favorable to move.
Yeah, last 3 years, 75 for 812 in 9 games. So he was a monster in those 9 games, and then 2023 coming back for injury, 59 catches, 737. 2024 coming back from injury, 67 and 710. So that's where it stands on that. All right, lots to get to on the program today. Among the topics of conversation, Bubba Ventrone will be joining us. That's coming up at 2 o'clock. Get his view of what happened down at the Senior Bowl. You have that to look forward to, which is nice. We'll go around the sports world, a little bit of Super Bowl Media Day, Matt Miller's 2-round mock draft. You have that to look forward to, which is nice. Some comments from offensive coordinator Tommy Reese that we will share on Jerry Jeudy, Joel Bitonio as well. So lots to get to here on the program. Coming up next, we begin our tour around the NFL with a check-in with the Jacksonville Jaguars. So we have that to look forward to coming up next. JP Shadrick going to join us there. We're off and running. You listen to Cleveland Browns Daily, presented by Bally Bet, official sports betting partner of your Cleveland Browns on 850 ESPN Cleveland. right, welcome back in Cleveland Browns Daily, presented by Ballybet, official sports betting partner of your Cleveland Browns. We begin our tour around the AFC, our off-season review and, in a sense, preview, and we start in Jacksonville on the Twisted Tea Hotline, presented by Twisted Tea Hard Iced Tea, official sponsor of your Cleveland Browns. Keep it twisted, Cleveland. JP Chadrick joining us, Jacksonville Jaguars senior reporter and editor. JP, thank you so much for taking the time. I guess when you start in big changes, obviously, new operation down there in terms of coach, GM eventually as well, but it probably all starts with Trevor Lawrence. This was a guy who you draft number 1 overall, and he is everything that you want him to be. The start to his career has been tough. I mean, there's been a lot of stuff that is of none of his own control. Where is he now, and where is the belief in him from the organization as it stands right now?
Well, first off, it's good to be with you again. And, yeah, that is the number 1 priority, the quarterback, because, well, where he stands is he's got 6 more years on his contract. So he's not going anywhere. So that was the number 1 priority in the interview process, was how do you activate, for lack of a better term, Trevor Lawrence and get him to be the dynamic generational quarterback that everybody felt he was when he came out in the draft. And there's been so much change for him. Of course, his rookie season was the Urban Meyer situation. That didn't go well. And then Doug Peterson came in. There was a little hope that, okay, things might turn around. And obviously in the first year, they made the rally late in the season and got the job done to get to the playoffs and won a playoff game. But then it just collapsed the next season, and after an 8-3 start. And injuries were a big piece of that. He had 4 different injuries 2 seasons ago in the back half of the season. Couldn't get right. Was trying to play through some things, and they needed him out there. And then last season, banged up again. You know, towards the end, the left shoulder injury, of course, the concussion against the Texans, and he still got his left arm in a sling. Last I saw him during the introductory press conference of Liam Cohen the other day. So yet another offense coming for Trevor Lawrence, but from all accounts, from hearing from Liam Cohen and the folks that we've heard in the organization so far since all the changes, that hey, he's part of that process to figure out an offense that works best around him, that puts pieces around him, that makes him live up to his best. So obviously Liam Cohen had the best answer to that question because he's now the head coach, and pretty much a clean slate with Trevor Lawrence, and let's see where he goes from here. Let's get him healthy. It seems like he's going to be on track to be ready for the offseason program.
Do you think that what Cohen does offensively fits Lawrence, and what, if any, insight or pull did Lawrence have on this hire?
I'm going to guess that he was probably asked in general what he thought. I don't think he was in the room during the interview, you know what I mean? But if he's that big piece of the organization, hey, what would make you the most comfortable, right? I could see that being a part of the conversation earlier, maybe even before the interview process started. So, yeah, he's the franchise, and you got to make sure he's happy and comfortable moving ahead. And you know, I think from what Liam Cohen has talked about already, they had actually Shad Khan, the Jags owner, let me back up a little bit, said during the firing of Doug Peterson, before the firing of Trent Baalke, that this offense was a little too predictable. Well, the way to be unpredictable is to run the football, if you can balance it out. And they had issues being physical in the run game when they needed to, that would set up the passing game, and they just didn't have that enough in the last couple of years around here. So I think that'll be a priority, is figure out the strength in the middle of the O-line and the D-line for that matter, but certainly on the offensive side, be able to go out there and handle a situation late in the game when they know you're going to run, you know they're going to run, everybody in the stadium knows they're going to run, and then you can play offense off that. They haven't had that around Trevor Lawrence in the last couple of years.
JP, I think the one thing that's interesting about this football team from a Jacksonville standpoint is the cupboard is not bare. And Brian Thomas is a star in the making. Very impressive. Christian Kirk, I know, was dinged up a little bit. Evan Ingram spent some time dinged up as well. But there's some talent on the offensive side. And you mentioned the running game. Tank Bigsby, Travis Etienne, how do you determine, are one of those two guys the guy? Can they be the full-time guy, or do you have to go out and get a third running back?
I think there will probably be some kind of effort to get a third guy. I don't know what that looks like or what that feels like, whether it's free agency or whether it's in the draft. because both these guys are in the final year of their contracts, rookie contracts. I mean, Travis Etienne is on his 5th-year option coming up this year. You're going to make $6.2 million, so he's going to be on the field, for a little bit. And Tank Bigsby showed some promise at times, but then late in the season put the ball on the deck a few times, and you can't have that. That was an issue earlier in his career, and it popped back up. I still think it's probably a two-horse situation in the backfield. Certain situations bring different guys in. I don't think there's a true bell cow back that you hand it off to 25, 30 times, unless somebody's hot. I mean, that's a different animal, right? If somebody's got the hot hand, okay, maybe you can adjust that. So that's where they are on the running back game. But in terms of the wide receivers and the tight end, yeah, I mean, Evan Ingram had the same kind of shoulder issue last year, and he should be good to go this year, and he's shown that he has the ability to be a dynamic playmaker, not only in the short passing game, but down the field, and can line up almost at any position at wide receiver if you need him to, and can become a mismatch against some of those smaller guys on the outside. And let's see about Christian Kirk. I think there's some room for him, or room in the cap, if for some reason they decide to move forward, move on. What do they do to fill that role? A little too early to tell. But Brian Thomas Jr., remember, they didn't throw the football to him in the first half of the season. There were games where he got 4 looks in a game, like 4 targets. I mean, what? So either it was a lack of confidence in the O-line to throw it deep down the field, or just a missed throw here or there. I think he's had his head on straight the whole time. And, of course, as the season went along towards the end, when everybody knew the ball was going to him, he still was able to stand out and play well, and got himself as the first alternate to the Pro Bowl. So he is a real bright spot for what this team wants to do. And he's got a killer instinct. He's a little soft-spoken, at least so far. But like I said, I think he's got his head on straight, and he understands what he needs to be for this offense, and that's a dynamic number 1 receiver.
JP, how does it finally get to Liam Cohen? And now that you've had the introductory press conference, do you understand, I guess, for lack of a better phrase, what all the fuss was about?
So far, yeah. I mean, we've had a few interactions, right? I mean, the opening press conference was one. There was a fan rally a couple days after that where there were a few thousand people in the club, and he's on the stage with me and Baselli, and that reaction from the fans that came out that night told you, okay, they are absolutely fired up about what he's done over the last year or so in Tampa Bay on the offensive side. He will call plays. He said that in his press conference. Okay, so that's something that didn't happen. There was some question marks about who was calling the plays the last couple of years. Clear communication has been a real point, I think, in the conversations we've had with Liam Cohen through all facets of the organization, to the GM side and now to the executive vice president of football ops side, with Baselli coming in that role. It'll be a 3-man front, for lack of a better term, in determining the future of this organization. And I think Liam is the figurehead of that. I don't think there's any mistake. This is Liam Cohen's organization. Now, will he have the final say, veto power and picks and all that? I don't know. I mean, it'll be a collective pick. They all say that. We'll see how it really winds up. But so far, they're saying the right things. And communication just at times felt like it was lacking around here the last couple of years between scouting, personnel, and coaching and players.
I thought it was the best job available. I love Lawrence. I love the talent. To me, I think of the division. I think obviously Houston's something you're going to have to deal with, but to me, it seems like the best job, and it just seems like putting it all together. What role will Baselli have in all of that?
Yeah, he's officially the executive vice president of football operations. So I kind of liken it to a communist country, the minister of culture. That's probably a good way to describe like what he would be. What is a Jaguar? Like, who are the Jaguars? And I think that's kind of his, I don't know if it's his top priority, but it's a big piece of what he'll do every single day. And he'll be over all the things around the football team, travel logistics, food and beverage in the football building, athletic training staff. I mean, everything else besides coaching and scouting is under Baselli, so including football communications as well. So I think he wants to have have a collective message. Messaging will be big for him because the fans deserve that. They haven't had a lot of that, a lot of direction of what the Jaguars actually should be and are as an organization And no better guy than Baselli to do it, who obviously was the first overall pick here back in 1995 in the first draft pick in the franchise history. And I came back at a certain point after the debacle in Houston where he was in the expansion draft and didn't play with a shoulder injury, came back and actually helped keep this team in Jacksonville. He was a big piece of what they did in the marketing and the ticketing sales in those 2000s seasons, late 2000s especially. So he has a soft place in a lot of people's hearts here in Jacksonville, and of course now in the Hall of Fame. So contacts all over the league, a good guy to kind of be the visionary type for this organization.
All right, 5th overall draft pick, 4 in the top 90, 2 fourths, 2 thirds, some nice draft capital, a nice little cap situation for you as well to put you right in the middle of the league. What's the number one position this team needs to address?
It's a good one. And I think it's, honestly, they've got some aging interior offensive linemen. You know, Mitch Morse has been around for 11 years. Brandon Sheriff, the right guard, same thing. And there aren't really many developmental guys behind them. They had a guy who really banged up his knee last year, all 3 ligaments, who was supposedly going to be that guy, Cooper Hodges, but there's no telling what his situation is and who he's going to be ready for camp or any of that. So that was a guy they were leaning on a lot. He finally had cracked the starting lineup, and it just didn't, he got in a goal line situation, got twisted up. So they need to figure that out. And I think you could probably do that in the later rounds, get some middle rounds, get some big, nasty, beefy offensive lineman on the interior that you can, for lack of a better term, jars on the shelf, right? You're developing a guy for later. It may not be this season. We'll see what those starting guys do. But now, to go on the other side of the ball, I think it's interior defensive line. The offensive line, as Baselli always says, which he was an offensive lineman, sets the tone for the whole team. However, if you don't have consistency in the middle of that D-line, people are going to run right at you. And they had issues in the middle of the defense all the way from the front to the back. Defensive tackle play was inconsistent. Linebacker play was all over the map. The safeties were awful. So they've got to figure out the middle of this defense. But I think it begins up front. So that's why defensive tackle, I think, is truly in play there at number 5.
Well, that should be music to their ears because it's a great D-tackle draft, and they'll be able to fill those spots. There aren't many of them need to be. It's a lot of brightness heading in that organization's future, it seems like, from this perspective. JP, thank you so much for your time and sharing us a little bit of your knowledge today.
You got it, guys. Anytime, man. Great to visit with you. Hope you're well.
There it is, JP Shadrick, Jacksonville Jaguars senior reporter and editor. He was on the Twisted Tea Hotline, presented by Twisted Tea Hard Iced Tea, official sponsor of your Cleveland Browns. Keep it twisted, Cleveland. This was the best gig out there.
Yep.
It just was. If I believe in Lawrence, the weapons, he talked about D-tackle at 5, so you can solve that right away. Maybe Graham from Michigan goes into that spot. If they want to let one of these running backs walk, this is a loaded running back draft. If they want to do that, they're in a good spot. It's weird when you look at Lawrence. I pulled this up. I was curious what his last couple of years have been. Well, he was this year in the 10 starts just a 60% passer, which I just would not have had. He was 60.6, 11 touchdowns, 7 picks. The year before that, he was 66%. 4,000, 21 and 14. Really, his second year, he was great. 66, 41, 13, 25 touchdowns, 8 picks. But I don't think that kid forgot how to play quarterback. I just think he's been in a lot of tough spots. And to me, I look at this and I go, geez, that's a pretty good opportunity to be in this spot.
Yeah, it comes down to being coached up.
Yeah. I think that's
maybe Cohen's that guy.
Yeah, we'll see.
This is his 3rd coach.
Yeah, and this one needs to hit. This was a big one for them. Obviously, they like Liam Cohen enough to the standpoint of they were willing to move off of Trent Baalke after that became a problem. So it's Liam Cohen's organization with Trevor Lawrence, Tony Baselli, and that's what they'll be going forward.
Baselli will do radio still.
Does
he was their color analyst.
Was their color analyst?
Yeah,
Probably could.
He and Lageman were like their color analysts.
Oh, Jeff Lageman, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I think a lot of people down there, certainly, I was thinking about this with Baselli because he said he was going to do the food and all of that stuff, like Minister of Culture or whatever. Like, I wonder if they would go back to that look that they had when he came up because that's a popular look down there with the fans. So we'll see. We'll continue our look around the league as the weeks go on, leading up to the combine and eventually into free agency. Coming up next, you'll hear from Jerry Jeudy on Tommy Rees, his new offensive coordinator. We'll have some of those quotes for you. Also, Joe Bitonio on what his offseason duties could look like. You listen to Cleveland Browns Daily. We're presented by Ballybet, official sports betting partner of Cleveland Browns on 850 ESPN Cleveland. Morgan Wallen is bringing his I'm the Problem tour to Huntington Bank Field on August 15th and 16th. The country sensations Miranda Lambert, Thomas Rhett, and Ella Langley set to join. Tickets are on sale now at huntingtonbankfield.com/Morgan Wallen. Don't miss out on this must-see summer show. That's got to be one of the biggest tours of the summer.
That I can remember coming to the stadium.
2 days with all those names?
Yeah. I mean,
that's pretty good.
Since Taylor Swift came here. Like, I get Billy Joel and Rod Stewart was one night only.
Billy and Rod?
Even though Billy and Rod are coming to Paycor Stadium in Cincinnati now.
Well, they're going to
so
Columbus.
Maybe now they're
coming to Columbus, too.
Yep. Yeah, it's more than one night.
Yeah.
You know, we've had some big shows, but I don't know if there's one bigger.
I think the timeliness
this guy
of
was
it,
in
right?
line for tickets.
Yeah, the timeliness. Like, I don't know the country music scene. I don't know modern music. Like, I don't know
Morgan
what the
Wallen's
kids, but I think he's a big deal. And I think this the Ella Langley, didn't she just have a #1 song in the country?
I have no idea.
Pretty sure she did.
I think I have that. Like, doesn't she have like a duet?
Yeah,
Like college
That
football
does
Nate
sound
and
right.
country music Bo.
Hold on.
All I can tell you is this. So
Oh.
we had the opportunity to get a little pre-sale
she's got
action
like
in the building.
she's got a little bit of a old school Linda Ronstadt vibe to her for the
no
kids
one,
out there.
CMA
no one gets
Bo
hurt
here.
by that.
Yeah, CMA Bo. I can drop you. Yeah, the what's the name of this song? You Look Like You Love Me. Yeah. The duet.
Look at this guy.
There you go.
big
Yeah.
on TikTok.
That means someone. Yeah, where did you get it from?
I don't know where. Oh, you know what? She had a song. She had a song in the final season of Yellowstone.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and that's how I
Gotcha.
became aware of her.
So-
I mean,
Yeah.
yeah.
G-Man gets. So we have the opportunity for a little pre-sale.
Yep.
G-Man's all excited. G-Man's going to blow a paycheck.
And I did.
Good for you,
Allegedly.
G-Man.
Allegedly. You were sick for a week, so
Can't
there
he
was
get
that
like to the
paycheck.
front of the line as an employee?
Hold on. So we get this pre-sale access.
Yeah.
Pre-sale, blah, blah, blah. Great. G-Man hops on. Now, Jordan and I are in here working.
Yeah.
I'm like, dude, I got to, like, let's watch this. Like,
Yeah, let's see
because
how he
you
does.
couldn't pick your seat until you actually, it was your turn to pick.
Okay.
Or, the queue pops up, and he's number 1138 on a pre-sale. He's
Okay.
hyperventilating. I'm like, relax. I've seen these. It's just getting the whole system up and running.
Yeah.
It'll go quick. It did. I think it was like 5 minutes.
It took like 3 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it was I was like, man, if it gets to like 3, if it gets to like 10, what if he doesn't get tickets? This is going to be a problem.
no. We
got-
would
we
make
got
sure you got
tickets.
tickets. Did you get? How are your seats? Good seats? You where you
Good
need to be?
yeah, lower bowl, right in the aisle.
Perfect for a guy like you. You'd thrive right near the aisle. Easy
Yep.
access.
My
in
wife and I
out.
were like 10,000 in line when we tried to get tickets, but then once we got up, we realized we couldn't afford that paycheck.
Kids will do that, Kev.
That'll
Trust
happen.
me.
Yep.
Kids will do
Yep.
that.
That's gonna happen. Yeah. This I could not tell you one song Morgan Wallen sings, but I guess my hunch is I've heard a dozen.
Yeah,
Do
probably.
I have that right?
Absolutely.
Yep.
He is enormously popular. I think he sold out. Didn't he sold out the shoe?
I'm
Did
sure.
sell out the shoe.
Well, he does. He did. I think he did the Buckeye Country Fest thing they do at the Horseshoe every
But
year.
it was like
Didn't he do that?
Yes.
Yeah.
And I saw him in at Lucas Oil. He sold out Lucas Oil.
All right. So is he a modern day Garth Brooks? That type of popular?
I don't know. You'd have to ask my father that. Huge
job out
Garth
of you,
Brooks
G-Man.
guy.
Good job out of you.
That's my father.
My wife would not let you put him in the same stratosphere as Garth Brooks.
Garth would. I mean,
love Garth.
I think at one point Garth was the #1 selling artist ever. Period.
There was nothing.
More albums ever.
Yes.
He used to do a thing where he would go to a town and he would play the concerts until as long as they were tickets sold. So he would come to like Billings, Montana, and he would sell out. He'd do like 7 days worth of shows as long as they were buying tickets. It's incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was a showman.
Yeah.
All right, Jerry Judy with some comments on the state of the Browns. This is from Brown Zone on new offensive coordinator Tommy Rees. Rees is a smart guy that knows how to get his playmakers the ball, Judy said. It's going to be very exciting to have him call plays. He would obviously have some firsthand experience with Tommy, or secondhand rather, from his former coach, Nick Saban. Have a pretty good feel about what Tommy's all about. Jerry had this to say at the quarterback position. I'm just hoping for somebody at quarterback that's consistent, and somebody that's a franchise quarterback for our team. That's really all we need. You and me both, brother.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's
really
go.
all we need.
That's all you need. It was funny, like the perception that and there are a lot of depth things that need to be filled, but yeah, get the quarterback and the rest of it's pretty easy. Joel Bitonio also had some comments down at the Pro Bowl on his potential for retirement this offseason. Joel said, I'm saying my offseason officially starts now, so now I'll take a few weeks and kind of see where we're at from here, but I got some good family time in and stuff, and this week was fun to be around the guys, but still I'm going to take a few weeks and just kind of see where we're at. I believe that is essentially a verbal no comment.
Yeah. Look, it wasn't it Joe that told us the longer it goes, the better chance he's back.
Yeah.
As he thinks about it and puts it all together,
Yeah.
I think there's a better chance that he's back.
I think that makes sense as well.
Yeah.
All right, Bubba Ventrone going to join us live in studio coming up next. Second hour of the program coming up next. You listen to Cleveland Browns Daily, presented by Ballybet, official sports betting partner of your Cleveland Browns on 850 ESPN Cleveland. All right, second hour of the program. If a car, truck, or motorcycle accident caused you injury, call their injury lawyers at 1-800-ELK, Ohio for a free case review. Elk & Elk is a proud partner of your Cleveland Browns. Privileged to be joined in studio, Browns Special Teams Coordinator Bubba Ventrone, fresh off being the head coach at the Senior Bowl down in Mobile. I know you have been there a lot. What was this experience like for you, and how much did you enjoy the opportunity to be the big dog and run the whole operation?
It was a great experience. I had a tremendous staff. I was able to bring Jacqueline Robertson with me from the Browns. She did a heck of a job as my assistant down there. Really great communicator with the staff. The staff that I worked with is incredible from top to bottom. It was awesome to be able to see these players interact with each other, take the information from the meetings to the field, and then see them interact and process all that information, and then obviously see them play in a setting like that. So it was awesome.
Can you take us do this? Take us through the week. All right, you land. You knew what your team was going to be. You land, and then it's you got a bunch of jobs here, right? Like, we got to put them through stuff so we can see what they are as prospects. Inevitably, you got to play a game. So you got to get install, and I'm sure it's all pretty vanilla, but at the same time, like, you got a week to put stuff in. Take us through kind of like what that week is like.
It was good. So initially, when I first found out that I had the position, and I knew who my staff was going to be, reached out to my staff, and the first thing we wanted to do was we wanted to compile the playbook. We wanted to put the playbooks together and be able to push those out to the players. Now, the teams were separated after the staffs were made, so we didn't know initially who was on our team.
Okay.
Once we knew the players that were on our team, we identified those players. We pushed the playbooks out to them electronically. So they had those playbooks by like Tuesday or Wednesday prior to arriving at Mobile on Sunday. So they had the playbooks for a few days in advance. So that was helpful. So the coaches get in on Saturday. The players arrive throughout the day on Sunday. We ended up having like a meet and greet at the I guess you would call it like the cafeteria area at the hotel. We have a team meeting that night, kind of just introduce my staff and I. And really what I wanted to do from the jump was I wanted to make it feel like a team. I didn't want to make it feel like an all-star game, because ultimately, like, our message throughout the week was we were trying to win, not just the game, but we were trying to win every rep, every meeting, everything that goes into winning. And I wanted our team to feel as close as we could right away. So I think that we were able to accomplish that. So we have the team meeting on Sunday, then they break off to offense and defense.
Okay.
We have another team meeting on Monday, and then they broke it off to offense and defense, along with a lot of other things on Monday. By Tuesday, we had the second practice, so we had morning meetings.
Okay.
Normally in a typical week, you have morning meetings where you're installing, you have practice, and then you have post-practice meetings for the corrections. Down in Mobile, we only had the players one time a day for meetings. So we had our meetings in the morning. The national team had their meetings in the afternoon. Okay. So we installed in the morning, then we would go to practice, and then the coaches would come back, watch the film, prep their meetings for the next day, and then we would have the players the next morning where you would have to hit corrections and install and then go to practice.
You think about it from a prospect's perspective. You put years of your life on tape, and then that's done, and now you're going to go prepare for the NFL. So you have your resume, which is your tape. But now you have Senior Bowl, Combine, Pro Day, all of that. As from your perspective as an evaluator of talent, what percentage are all of those? Obviously, to make one big picture of a prospect, how much of it is the tape resume? How much of it is the hands-on experience that you got down in Mobile, which is incredible for a team like us that's got a lot of picks that we have? You got hands-on. And how much it is what happens between now and the draft? Yeah. How do you break that kind of down?
To me, ultimately, the most important evaluation tool is your tape.
Yeah.
Is your tape. I think that the combine obviously confirms what you're seeing on the film most times. And I think that the Senior Bowl is an extremely, incredible resource for scouts, coaches, GMs to be able to see, okay, you're seeing football with players going against the best players in the country against each other in a setting where everything is pretty generic and vanilla. You get to see different body types go against different body types, different skill sets against different skill sets. The way that we structured practices, we wanted to give the scouts and the general managers what they wanted to see. A lot of times, like, they want to see those guys in a one-on-one setting, like receivers against DBs,
Yeah.
tight ends against safeties, and a lot of times, like, those pass rush one-on-ones are very valuable because now you can see, like I said, different skill sets against different body types in that one-on-one setting where you can really see those, quote, traits come to fruition and see them like truly like be able to put their traits, into play.
Your position as head coach, I would assume, allowed you the opportunity to paratroop in on everything.
Yeah.
So you were able to get kind of firsthand knowledge of all the position groups.
Yep.
How valuable was that for you? And then you come back here, you do a debrief, whatever, like to be able to say, you can vouch for guys now, personally.
It was great. I was able to, so each day I would start with a 15-minute team meeting where you're really hitting the goals of what you're trying to get accomplished that day, some corrections from the previous day, and then things we want to improve on, obviously, going into the practice. And after that, we would separate. And most times we would go OD and they would just go into their position groups. Mm-hmm. So during that time, that was like an hour and a half, I would be able to get to each position group. That was a very valuable thing for me as the head coach was I was able to have my hand in all of those meetings and be able to observe, listen, and also it helped me evaluate the coaches on the staff and upcoming coaches and see their development throughout the week. But it was awesome because you could now see, okay, they're being taught this, how well do they take what they're being taught to the field? We had a number of instances where we had a correction from the first day be applied and made right the second day. Specifically, there was like a route detail from a receiver from Arkansas that he kind of rushed his route too much. And if he would have just pushed the stem a little bit more, he would have had the opportunity to have a two-way go. He made the correction the second day, and he scored in a one-on-one, which was pretty cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was
That's
it was cool.
direct
It was cool
application.
Yeah.
Yeah. Obviously, when you go to a Senior Bowl and really any time around the draft, it comes to the quarterbacks. Milroe and Dart were the more highly regarded, more known products that were down there. Just the quarterback position in general and what they are thrown into that week at the Senior Bowl. What was your impression of the guys you saw down there, and then just kind of what the week is like for them, because most of the eyes are going to be on them?
Yeah, I enjoyed working with all four of those guys. It was, Riley Leonard, Jackson Dart, Milroe, and then Seth Hennigan from Memphis. All four of those guys did a good job. And look, I would say this, it's not easy to go down there as a quarterback, obviously. And with this, so at night, these guys go through, they go through these interviews at night with all the teams. Mm-hmm. A lot of times in those interviews, some teams are giving them a mini install. So now you have your minds polluted with all this information. Jeez. We're trying to install what we're doing at the game.
Yeah.
So that can be hard at times. And then also now you're throwing to guys that you've never thrown to before. Right? You're taking snaps from nobody you've ever taken a snap before. Obviously, some of those guys worked more out, like Jackson and Seth worked more out of the gun in college than they did under center. So that was an issue the first day, is getting the quarterback center exchange on point. So just the unfamiliarity with, those types of things and having those really guys that you're not familiar with, and you could see the improvement from day to day. And then obviously into the game, we had some decent production.
Will you, as long as you live, forget how that ended? And just so our audience...
No, it was unbelievable.
Just so our audience knows, so Seth Hannigan, your team won, which you said we're going to win the week. Well, you did. You won the game and you won the week. No shot.
So our D coordinator, the D coordinator we were going against was our defensive line coach, Jacques Cesare. And he was talking some noise against me pregame to Tom Pelissero, so I had to come back and we had to finish it the right way.
Well, you did. So Seth Hannigan hits a TCU receiver by the name of Jack Beck. Beck was named the MVP of the game. Betch, sorry. Yes. Betch was named the MVP of the game. His brother was one of those who was killed in the New Orleans attack around the Sugar Bowl. That's
It was tough. Yeah.
That's a lot. That's a lot.
For the game, the Senior Bowl did a really good job of tributing his brother at the game. Everybody in the game wore so his brother played football at Princeton. His name was Tiger, wore number 7. So we had a number 7 decal, like with the tiger print through it on the back of their helmets. I thought it was a really nice job by them. The kid was, first off, the kid is a stand-up kid, like incredible person, incredible like teammate, great leadership, tough, just the epitome of what you would want in a football player. And then having to go through that and lose your brother only a few weeks prior to that, and the way that the game ended. So we have the ball. It's 4th and goal. There's 7 seconds left. His brother wore number 7, which is kind of crazy. And he ends up catching the game-winning touchdown. It was a special moment to see, and it was cool to see his parents, going at him after the game.
Man, that's higher power stuff there, brother.
Yeah.
That's a lot. That's a lot going on. That was absolutely. I did want to have you had a chance to talk to you since the season was over. I did want to. We talked a lot about the last spring about the new kickoff rules and all of that. You went through a full year of it. What worked? What didn't? Did you like it?
I did like it. I think that there was definitely a lot of a trial and error period to the first half of the season. We made some adjustments. We had some decent production from about the mid-season point on. There's a lot of things we're going to do different on that unit, a lot of things we're going to teach different. We're going to go back and do a deep dive and study into the things that worked, be a little bit more, I would say, going to use more different types of blocking techniques and things that I think are going to help us be able to have a productive play.
It's one of those things you weren't going to know until you did it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like we can practice it all we want out here, but until you see it played in a game, and then everyone will adjust to that going forward. Great seeing you.
Appreciate it.
Thanks for stopping by.
Yeah, no problem.
Special teams coordinator Bubba Ventrone in studio with us and head coach of the winning team.
The American team.
Unlike Jacques. Hate to see it. Good
Thank
seeing you, buddy. As always, Bubba Ventrone here in studio. Coming up next, we will go around the sports world. A lot of Super Bowl availability. Jameis Winston, who is one of the stars of this season, had himself a week down there. We'll have that for you coming up next as well. You listen to Cleveland Browns Daily on 850 ESPN Cleveland. Hey, Browns fans, this month's winner of the local business platform presented by Minuteman is Red Beard Seasonings. Red Beard Seasonings started as a hobby in a home kitchen, has since blossomed into a collection, often original recipe flavors, pepper sauce, steak and brisket, chips, and even coffee. Check them out today to learn more about the local business platform. Visit browns.com/community/local business platform. Bring some in here.
I'm in. How about some seasonings?
Bring it in. I'd love to give it a shot. Z and I cook. We'll run it out.
Yeah.
You cook. We'll see what it's all about, Gibbe.
I'd like to.
Hey, find some. All right. We go around. Super Bowl Media Day was yesterday. I think it's two-parter, right? It's yesterday and today?
Yes.
Is kind of a two-part thing.
Yes. They're the nighttime crazy session, the circus.
This was also the State of the State from Roger Goodell. His annual State of the Union address, where he meets with the national media and they discuss all things National Football League. One of the things that I think I'm most – Kev, I want to start with the one from Tom Brady because it's something we've talked about a long time in terms of the advantage that he has and the fact that he is allowed to call games while all at the same time be an owner of the Las Vegas Raiders. So let's start with Goodell. He was asked if Tom Brady has an unfair advantage as a part-time owner, as a part owner and a broadcaster.
Well, I'm not sure how he would, Ben, on that case, but let me start with the fact that everybody in the National Football League, owner to personnel, is still subject to tampering rules and other policy. They're responsible for that conduct, and they're all held accountable for that. In the case of this actual transition, as you know, we had special rules that were designed for this, for some of the concerns that some of the ownership had on this, and to make sure, as we learned a little bit more about this, where could there possibly be any kind of conflicts? That's something that, we'll obviously consider in the offseason and think about that. Should that policy be adjusted? Should something be added or subtracted? But right now, that Tom has been incredibly cooperative. He calls frequently about it and says, am I doing okay? And I think he's serious about making sure that he separates these two and he doesn't put the league or anyone in a position of conflict.
I think it's very interesting what he said right there about him calling Goodell frequently and saying, am I doing okay? Tom Brady, despite all his accomplishments, still loves being coached.
Yeah.
He's still looking over his shoulder like, is this work? Am I okay with this?
Yeah, but I would also say this, it's going to reach a point where
we're already
you're going to you're going to have to make a decision. I mean, he's hiring people. He's hiring personnel people. He's hiring coaches. There has to be a conflict here.
There is, and I think we've already crossed it. I think that there was an assumption that what Brady would do with the Raiders is be kind of a silent owner. I remember Stephen Ross did this down in Miami, he brought the Williams sisters on and Gloria Stefan and Jennifer Lopez.
Miami
and
Sound Machine.
That's right, the Congo, baby. He'd bring all those folks, like Jimmy Buffett. They were all minority owners. I think probably what most people thought is that Tom Brady would be like, okay, he's a part owner of the – in a way that Myles is a part owner of the Cavs, right? Like you get a tiny percentage and you show up at games and wave and that's it. But the reality is he is according to all the reporting, the active owner for the Las Vegas Raiders when it came to hiring coaches. He's the one.
Yeah. And he's supposed to have input on their quarterback or on the draft.
Absolutely. So that is not, I don't think, what the owners anticipated what his role would be. And so I think that's the thing that's tricky, and I think we've already crossed the Rubicon of there's no reason for him to do both other than the $300 million reasons that Fox is paying him to do it. Beyond that,
he's not walking away from that until someone makes him.
I wouldn't think so. So my hunch is that this would be a one year and done for him on the Fox booth. Goodell was also asked about moving the chains away and towards technology to measure first down. Z and I have talked about this a lot. Let's hear from Roger on that.
We tested, I think, in the preseason this past year on being able to use that technology It is complicated. Obviously, you have a lot of humanity that interferes potentially with some of that, at least from a camera angle standpoint. But you also have a shape of the ball that is different, and it's about where the ball is, not where the individual is necessarily. So there are a combination of factors are there, but I do think that technology will exist sometime in the future. We're continuing a lot with our partners is how to advance that as quickly as possible so we can get to that place.
So the big thing you hear a lot of people talk about, like the tennis situation, but the chip isn't in the ball, it's on the court.
Yeah.
So that's a much smaller surface area to have covered. I mean, you essentially just need the lines covered, and that's about it on tennis versus a football field, which is huge. Z and I had the ball out the other day, and we were going, oh, there it is. And you need a chip in each end. You need a chip, kind of in the girth of the ball, and that's the only way. You need two to be able to see kind of where it is. I still think it's better than some old guy running in and from 30 yards away and go, oh, it's here. Oh, no, this is forward
like in the
progress.
AFC Championship game where one guy was here and one guy was here.
They're all over the map, and they split the difference. Oh, I got priority, you do. Like, it's got to be better than that. It can't be worse than what we're doing, which is a chain link with two sticks on it and human beings running it versus this is exactly 10 yards. So it's just too important to not get right. And we've railed on that for years, the idea of a sky judge, and there's enough technology.
I was going to say, let's just start with getting it like the eye in the sky for every play.
I think, that seems so easy to be able to do it.
They just won't do it.
I think that they don't want to make the referees employees. I think if they made the referees employees, then I think you could do that eye in the sky, and there wouldn't be so much worry about it. But I think that's probably it. Like, just train them all in the same thing and just get the calls right. That's all anybody wants. This game is way too fast, way too chaotic, way too violent to not have have things left up to chance. Goodell was also asked about the perception that the refs favor the Kansas City Chiefs. Here are his thoughts on that.
Well, this sort of reminds me a little bit of the script, right? That I write a script, and I have the script for the entire season. Listen, a lot of those theories are things that happen in social media, and they get a new life, as you say. I understand that. I think it reflects a lot of the fans' passion, and I think it also is a reminder for us how important officiating is. And I think the men and women that officiate in the NFL are outstanding. They have the highest possible standards. That's ridiculous theory for anyone who might take it seriously.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Listen,
that was the best reaction, by the way.
That was me yawning.
Yeah.
I'll tell you this. My kids, Dad, the Super Bowl logo's red and green. What are the color of the two Super Bowl teams? Red and green. This was all predetermined, Dad. Go to bed.
Conspiracy.
Go to bed. Kindly leave, gentlemen.
Boy,
kindly leave.
They've been a little off on their NFL playoff takes. The Mahomes take. I mean, you get written out of the will for that.
Yeah. Let's just say yesterday afternoon was not a fun afternoon in the Bishop household.
Oh.
Yeah. You forget. Here's the thing. Like, you forget they're, kids are fans, and you think about whether it's Luka, and I know we're going to get to that, or Myles requesting all of it. Like, they don't – wait a second. What? Now we got to deal with this?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah. The other thing he discussed, I know we don't have the audio of it, but the other thing he discussed was the 18-game schedule. And the kind of that's not really on the radar now, which I don't think that's the real truth at all. I think that it is on the radar. I think they'd love to get to 18. They'd love to get to President's Day and all of those things. And eventually they'll get there. They just got to get on the same page with the players.
Yeah, it'll be when
the
players, when the contract's up. That'll be the number one bargaining piece that the players can use to their benefit.
Yep. Our buddy Jameis Winston's having a ball down at the Super Bowl. So he is working for Fox Sports as a contributor. So this is the thing that happens at the Super Bowl. You give people mic, and they just barnstorm in on these massive media availabilities. And Jameis was responsible for this for Fox Sports. So he went up to Saquon Barkley and asked him where he should sign this offseason.
In this free agency, man, I'm a free agent. I really don't got no job. Who should sign me in free agency?
I think New York need a quarterback right now.
New York? Who?
The Giants.
Okay, brother. Thank you. I'll give him a call.
Yeah.
Do you think?
I give him a call. I don't have a job right now.
Saquon throwing
So much
Jameis
fun.
to the Wolves.
Or throwing some shade at his former team.
Yeah.
They don't have a quarterback right now.
Go ahead.
I loved him. Here. He was fun to have. He was it wasn't the magic of Flacco and all of that, but it was. No one's ever going to forget the game against Baltimore, the game against Pittsburgh, and the laughs that he had in a season that needed him.
Yeah.
He provided some really fun moments.
I think if you wanted to, you know how ESPN does Monday Night Football with the Manning cast or whatever.
Yeah.
Can Fox put together something on an alternate channel and make him like the sideline reporter live?
Have him do that?
Yeah.
Him without a net.
Without a net.
Dicey. Here is
In
Jameis with some other fun at Media Day. Here's one with Chris Jones. Let's have a listen.
I'm actually missing this clip. Do we have this one on your guys' side?
Look at the G-Man. G-Man was too worried about Sabrina Carpenter.
Oh, boy.
That's on me. Give me 1 second.
Sad. Hate to see it, G-Man. Hate to see it.
Sorry, I tried to text early enough. Sorry, guys.
It's all right. G-Man's hustling. The G-Man's hustling. He's worried about Morgan Wallen this morning. Look at him. That's what you get. You're lucky you're 1,100, G-Man. After this, maybe you drop to 1,200 on the wait list for Morgan Wallen. 12,000 even. All right, he will effort that. You've been to Super Bowl Media Days?
I've never been to the Super Bowl. It's the one sporting event I have not been to. I have been to the Daytona 500.
Yeah.
I have been to the NCAA Final Four. I have been to I've been to World Series. I've been to NBA Finals. I have no interest in the Super Bowl, I think, unless my team is there.
It's a hell of a spectacle.
Well, yeah.
I think I've been to 5. Yeah, 3 Patriot wins, 1 Ravens win, and a Giants win. What strikes you about it? It's incredibly corporate.
Correct.
It's incredibly sponsor-driven. There's crazy things like I remember one of the years down in New Orleans at the Super Bowl, like Wilson, who's obviously from Ada, Ohio. Like you could go in as a member of the media and they would make you a custom football. Like you could put your stamp on it,
Pretty
whatever you
cool.
wanted, which was really cool. I remember when New Era first got the NFL cap licensing. Every member of the media got a custom fitted. It was all black and it had the NFL logo also in black on it, like a 5950. That was very cool. There's all of this. The crazy thing is, like in the old days, like Radio Row was really cool. The last time I went, Radio Row didn't have much to it. It's pretty minimal.
I think it's only the big ones, but even now, like Dan Patrick's show is somewhere else. NBC is somewhere else.
So
ESPN is somewhere
The
else.
ones that the last time I went when it was a big deal, it was Mike Francesa. This was after he had split with Mad Dog. So it was Mike Francesa, WFAN, and then it was Jim Rome. Like Jim Rome's set was incredible at the Super Bowl, but like that was it. And then you bring all the old timers by and they talk to you or whatever. And so that's kind of fun. It's crazy who you just run into because kind of the whole league's there. So you'll just be walking down the street and you'll see some legendary player, Eric Dickerson or something, walking down the street, which is pretty cool. The game itself in person, I think, is largely stinks. I mean, the commercials are long. The commercials take forever, so you don't get to see any of them. You really can't hear the halftime. So I had Paul McCartney, Madonna, Beyonce.
Wow, and you couldn't hear it in the venue?
I couldn't hear Beyonce at all, and I heard she put on a hell of a show in New Orleans, and I couldn't make out any of it. Madonna, I could sort of hear Madonna in Indianapolis. The one I could hear absolutely was U2 in New Orleans, where the streets have no names. So everyone who died 9/11, that was like a U2 concert that they put on. I cannot remember the other one. I can't remember the halftime of the other one. But I remember with both Beyonce and Madonna, you had a very difficult time hearing what they were doing. It was like their voice track was drowned out by everything. You could hear all the music, but like the voice track, you had a tough time hearing. And you're so far away. A lot of times the Super Bowl media is in the stands.
Yeah, you're watching everything on the
Jumbotron. Yeah. And then the last one I went to was in New Orleans. It was 49ers Ravens, and that was when the lights went out in the third quarter. So I thought we were under terrorist attack, quite honestly. Like I think all of us did. We're like, oh God, what's happening now? Because it's the Super Bowl. The lights go out. I mean, that's like a scene out of Batman, right? That type of stuff. Like the lights aren't supposed to go out in the Super Bowl. So that was quite terrifying.
So up until about 3 years ago, in our road case, from a radio standpoint, you pack a backup, and you pack a backup.
Yeah, right.
Up until it was right after COVID. It was 21. I think we finally made the decision to get rid of it. We had a rotary dial phone.
Oh,
like a phone. It was in the rack, like behind the rack, that we could pull out and plug into because we always had a POTS line as a backup.
Yep.
And the guys could literally call the game because that's how
on the phone.
That's how Nance or whoever was calling the Super Bowl.
It was Nance, I'm pretty sure.
They called the game on a cell phone, but like cell phones were a little sketchy because of that dome sucks from a technology standpoint. So we had a hardline phone that we took with us to every game. That was our third or fourth backup. It was all hell's breaking loose here.
Yeah,
take that phone.
Yeah, So it's a wide array of experiences going to it. The week leading up is fun. I mean, it's just a ton of parties and fun and frivolity.
That's what
and
I've heard.
All of that is a lot of fun. And it's cool. The game itself is pretty cool. Like the pomp, like you feel the juice of being at a Super Bowl and all the things that happen in it, for sure. But it's a lot of downtime with the commercials, and it feels like you're at commercial like every 2 seconds. All right, we do have the Jameis stuff now. All right, so here is Jameis having a little bit of fun with Chris Jones.
You've been here before, man. You going for your fourth
fourth
Super Bowl with this organization, man. What all of us really want to know here today, brother, is what's your favorite color?
Oh, man, Jameis, man, it's always a pleasure, man. Favorite color is always red, man.
Red? Do you be seeing red when you be sacking quarterbacks, man? Because you're not pleasant when you're in the backfield.
You know what? I do see a sea of red, man. I do see a sea of red.
Okay, so when you push my right tackle in my lap, were you thinking about the sack or were you just trying to hurt my right tackle?
I was definitely thinking about the sack.
Okay.
I was definitely thinking about the sack, Jameis.
He is unfettered. Like, what is his day-to-day operation this week in the Super Bowl?
Well, he was I started doing a thing when I was in Tallahassee, like 2001, and they just continued it at the television station I worked at, where we would pick one player every year to go around like Florida State Media Day and just screw around with everybody. And I do remember the very first time that he did it as a true freshman, because they just knew he had a personality. It was his redshirt freshman when he won the Heisman. It was a true freshman. He sat behind, I want to say, Christian Ponder, I think. But anyway, they gave him a mic and he ran around, and it's pure joy. Like, he's always been like this.
Yeah.
This is just.
Well, you said that the day we signed him. Yeah, you're like, he's going to come in here and you're going to go, that's been him from day one.
That's him. Yep. It's absolutely authentic. All right, coming up, we will go a little bit. It's a wild weekend in the NBA. We will do that. Plus, Matt Miller of ESPN releases a 2-round mock draft. We will let you know where he sees us picking and who he sees us picking coming up next. You're listening to Cleveland Browns Daily on 850 ESPN Cleveland. Add more fun to your fandom with the Ballybet Sportsbook app. Download today and get $50 in bonus bets when you place your first wager of $10 or more. Ballybet, official sports betting partner of your Cleveland Browns. Matt Miller of ESPN releasing his 2-round mock draft. At number 2, he has us taking Travis Hunter, wide receiver, cornerback out of Colorado. The quote here is, the Browns are facing questions about quarterback Deshaun Watson's future, so it's logical to think they'd be all in on a passer here. But Cleveland isn't a lock to draft a quarterback given the money it has committed at the position. Instead, the Browns might go with the most dynamic player in the draft. The debate over which position he should play in the NFL is ongoing, but the Browns need help at receiver and at corner. Travis Hunter is a one of one. No one has ever done what he just did at Colorado for 2 years, playing both predominantly
at a high level,
on a first-team All-American at both corner and at wide receiver, and in the return game, and winning the Heisman and all of those things. I don't know why he couldn't do both in the league. I'm sure he will try to do both in the league. It's interesting. Jeremiah and Kuiper thought he was best served at wide receiver. You could see him thinking that too. Wide receivers are compensated better than corners. However, there are more wide receivers that are elite than there are cornerbacks that are elite. So who knows how all of that weighs out. He would be a plug and play. I mean, he would be dynamic star on offense. He's just if you haven't seen him play, folks, I don't know how, even you've seen highlights, like he high points the ball at an elite level. He comes down with catches that are improbable at elite level. He is a lockdown corner at as elite a level as can be. He's dynamic in the return game. Like, he's just a dangerous weapon all over the field, both sides of the ball. So you understand it. It feels like most people think that, along with the defensive tackles, that Travis Hunter and Abdul Carter are locks to be really good pros.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, whether he plays wide receiver or corner, he's going to be an impact player. This is what happens when you pick at the top of the draft. You have the opportunity to get game-changing players. As AB said, is it generational? I don't know if it's generational. None of us know until they actually get on the field.
No.
But a game changer? Yes. And a program builder? 100%.
See, this I wouldn't understand, though. So at 33, he has us taking cornerback Trey Amos. So he has us taking wide receiver corner at number 2, and then he's got to take another corner at 33. The Browns likely opt to find a short-term quarterback in free agency and prepare to draft one early in 2026. Amos, meanwhile, had 3 interceptions for the Rebels in 24 and can start immediately opposite Denzel Ward with his press man skills and great coverage instincts, checking another box. We have MJ Emerson there, who came along as the season went along. Greg Newsom's in that building as well.
On the 5th year. On the rookie option, and we've also drafted a couple other guys. The kid out of Northwestern we drafted. We
shirt.
I don't even know what's going on.
Shirt jackets on. He's got his layers, his swackets.
You have options at corner already, and if you take
2 of
Hunter,
like,
by the way, you need help at receiver and corner. You also need help at quarterback. And you can talk about this is what you've committed a lot of money at the position. Matt, right now none of them can play.
Right. Well, the other line I don't understand is for him, and he does a really good job. I respect he's put a lot of work in to get to where he is. The Browns will likely opt to find a short-term quarterback in free agency and prepare to draft one in early 26. That last line is impossible. You don't get to prepare to draft one in 26 because the only way you get the one you want is if you pick number 1 overall. Yeah. And you have no idea who's going to be good in 2026. None of us do. A year ago at this time, we said Carson Beck, Quinn Ewers, 1, 2. Shedeur Sanders was the 3rd. It was those 3 guys. A year ago, Cam Ward went to the NFL draft and they said, not for you.
Not today.
And so then he went to Miami, and now he's going to go in the first round. So you don't have any idea what is going to happen a year from now at the quarterback position. Ironically, as Cam Ward going number 3 to the Giants, so he's good enough to go 3 to the Giants but not 2 to us, is the thinking there. Shedeur Sanders goes number 6 to the Las Vegas Raiders. Other quarterbacks, he has 2 more that go in the second round. Jackson Dart, number 40 to New Orleans, and then Quinn Ewers, number 42 to the New York Jets. Dalton Wasserman, PFF, actually had Will Howard of Ohio State, the number 3 quarterback on his list. Based on what
we have some quarterback numbers we'll get to tomorrow that we found. Some quarterback rankings from our good friend Jordan Reed at ESPN. Post all the All-Star games and everything. Some interesting ones.
If you're curious what's going to happen around the rest of the AFC North, the Bengals, Matt Miller has going edge, Shamar Stewart out of Texas A&M in the first round, then JT Tuimoloau out of Ohio State in the second. He has the Steelers going Buckeye, Emeka Ibuka, number 21 overall.
I hate this.
That one, Emek's going to be great. He's a total – I don't know if he'll be a star, but he'll be a plug-and-play. He does everything.
Correct.
You saw the video of him in the lead-up to the play to Jeremiah Smith on the tape. He's got inside leverage. You got to take a shot, and then third in the season, they do and land it.
I keep seeing mocks where he goes there, and I hate every time I have to talk about it.
Yeah. Also has Quinshon Judkins going to the Steelers as well, the running back out of Ohio State going there. So that's where he stands on all of those things. This has been a wild sports few days. The trade of Luka Doncic to Dallas, from Dallas to Los Angeles. Talked about that just briefly yesterday. There was another deal that involved De'Aaron Fox going to the Spurs, Zach LaVine heading to Sacramento. I do think that whatever you think about all of this stuff, I think it's good for that league that this has happened. It's not good for Mavericks fans, I'm sure.
Oh.
But even despite that being the Lakers, for most people's preference, them not having him, when something like that happens, it does create interest in the league. So it's so funny. Wendy, I got to give him credit. He was so great. Greeny on First Take this morning before I did my morning show, he was just trying to get LeBron to play with Steph in Golden State and trying to drum it up. And Wendy was just exasperated. And he's like, can we just let them play together? LeBron James is a Laker. You're telling me LeBron James isn't going to want to play with a top 3 player in the league right now? Like, why would he not want to play with him? So everyone's trying to look for that next thing with it. But the reality is you have 2. That team now has 2. LeBron just had a triple-double over the weekend. You have 2 of the best all-around players in the last 50 years offensively on the same team.
Yeah.
And they're both big. They can defend a lot of positions. They're probably not going to be able to do anything at center, but it certainly makes them more interesting and makes the NBA more interesting in the interim.
It's a home run for the Lakers.
This is what they do.
It's first thing I said. I'm like,
that's what they do.
God, they do it.
Yeah.
I don't know what Dallas was thinking. I don't know where that relationship is with Luka. Clearly, there was something not good. But he's an NBA first team
5 times by 25.
Yeah,
I mean, like all NBA first team 5 times by 25. They get him. They did it with Wilt towards the end of his career. They did it with Kareem. They did it with Pau Gasol. They did it with Anthony Davis, LeBron. I mean, because of the draft, they were able, Magic Johnson, James Worthy, Kobe Bryant. None of those picks were theirs on their own. They were all trades that they had done to be able to acquire them, and they got them all. It's just what they do.
Yep.
It's what they do. All right, so much more to come. You're listening to Cleveland Browns Daily on 850 ESPN Cleveland. Cooper Flake, best freshman in Duke history.
Whew. You're going to do that with 45
You got 30 seconds. You got 30 seconds, Gibby.
No.
You can't do that to us.
No. Grant Hill.
Well,
30.
Well, he's got time. If he hangs a banner.
He hangs a banner,
He's a banner and he's National Player of the Year as a freshman.
Yeah.
Was Zion National Player of the Year? I think he was.
But
this kid's unbelievable.
15.
He's awesome.
He's great.
And
really
they boat race the Carolina Tar Heels. Take that, Cherry.
You know, Bootsy,
I know you're up next.
Bootsy likes Carolina. You know that?
Oh, you're dead to me.
Next level coming up next. Thanks for listening, everybody. Cleveland Runs Daily, 850 ESPN Cleveland.